welcome to our Christmas edition of the Library News podcast. I'm Annie. I work in the Manchester Library as a library learning advisor. Take it away, guys.
I'm Paul. I'm a customer service librarian at the London campuses.
And I'm Eva. I work with Paul at the London campuses as a library learning advisor.
Ooh.
So we should just probably explain, if you can hear a little background noise. I think we're all in situations, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but we're all in situations where it's pretty chilly. I'm currently in a Moorgate office, which is possibly the coldest place in the building. So to combat that, we've put a YouTube video on of a roaring open fire, and it's absolutely lovely, and I think it's making us all feel warmer.
It actually is.
It's creating such an ambience. It's great. An ambiance.
Ambiance.
If only we were gathered around in like a nice little pub with an open fire, with because we really do need to get a proper podcast set up with the mics and everything, and we're just sitting beside a fire. Mulled wine or something would be wonderful.
Yep. It would be dreamy.
You told me to have a mulled mead at Winter
Well, I was
Wonderland.
going, yeah, you're right, because the mulled mead is better than the mulled wine.
Never had a mulled mead.
Mulled mead with a honey shot.
I've never had a mead, mulled or unmulled.
Yeah, what's a mead? I don't actually know what a meed is.
I think it's kind of like a wine. I think this is sort of
drink?
something. I think this is kind of something to check on Google. So I think it's kind of like a wine. It's an alcoholic beverage made by fermenting honey mixed with water and sometimes with added ingredients such as fruits, spices, grains, or hops. Whatever it is, it's Christmas.
Isn't it what people drink in like the Dark Ages?
I was going to say, it sounds very medieval, Paul.
I think it is. Well, the only place I've actually had mulled mead is at Winter Wonderland in Hyde Park. So, and it's they renamed it Viking Blood. So it's definitely an old drink. But it's so good.
I like that.
With a bratwurst. Brilliant.
Yeah, I went to Winter Wonderland. Was it last week? And I've been looking at all this food, but I just kind of forgot to eat, and I'm really sad about it now. Wanted one of those bratwursts.
Should have had a bratwurst.
And a mulled mead.
So, how has everybody's year been?
A whole year this time, not just a month. I suppose it is season wrap up, isn't it?
Yeah, well, it's our last podcast of 2022.
Could you say it's the end of season 1 of Library News?
I would definitely say that.
Let's do an end of season wrap up. Yeah, it's been good.
It's been all right, hasn't it? I mean, there's been a lot of changes. I think because the original premise of this show was not just to share information, but also about the library service that we provide, but also to talk a little bit about the behind the scenes action. What is it to be a librarian sometimes in the fast-paced world of librarianship? And I think some of it last year has been a little bit chaotic. There's been a lot of changes. There's been a lot of trying to establish the new roles of the library learning advisors. But I think we are, as we're getting towards the year, to be positive. It's we've been making progress on a lot. We've completely redone the library website, so the information should be a lot easier to access. And your roles, the library learning advisor roles, I think are coming along. You all are getting a lot more experience and being able to get involved in more projects and stuff. And
so this is me and Eva's first full year as library learning advisors, so I think it definitely feels like it's going in the right direction, I think, in terms of the role.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like the last year we've done way more than I could have really expected. As Paul said, like, we've actually had a lot of change, like, compared to last year. Our roles are completely different, I think. So God only knows what will happen next year, in a very positive way, I think.
It's helpful, I think, to actually, because I think when you're kind of coming to work day to day, you don't really realise how things have changed or what you've been doing. But I think it is good to have like a reflection, because I have actually done loads of new things and developed a lot of things. Like obviously the podcast, the online work we've been doing. Like there's loads of stuff that we weren't doing this time last year.
I know. I've just started work on reading lists. I didn't think that was going to happen ever. So I'm very happy with that.
My whole job title's changed. So
yeah, it was because your whole job's changed.
The podcast, though, as I think, has been my favourite development, because it was really nice to start working with people on Twitter, and that I think very naturally evolved from us basically chatting in Twitter agenda meetings to thinking we could do some good with a podcast by sharing information, but on a sort of a lighter way. I think has been really good, and that I have particularly enjoyed. Oh, as well as the editing it for several hours and just, you know.
So I think that's your favourite part. I don't know if actually the recording of the podcast is your favourite part. You love just to sit and edit it.
Yeah, I mean, I can do without you two, to be honest. I just need to record some noise and I'll edit it.
I think it's nice because obviously, like, people listening might not realise, but like, we don't work in the same office. Me and Paul have never met ever. Like, it's nice to work together with members of the team on something where you get to properly chat.
Yeah, I completely agree.
I think another thing as well is I think people forget that, you know, there are people that actually work in libraries, and we aren't just, you know, we aren't just completely concerned about telling people to shush when they're being too loud, or, you know, you've not taken your book back on time and stuff like that. There is a lot to say and a lot going on in the library, and I think the podcast is definitely a way of branching that out to our lovely listeners, and, you know,
to show like the behind the scenes and sort of the personalities in the library. Is that what you're kind of trying to say?
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, just picking up on what you were saying, because people do think when the pandemic struck, people thought, I mean, like, because I was still working throughout, and we never got furloughed or anything, because we were all still working and from all levels. The people, my family thought, like, what are you actually doing? And I had to say, you know, I rarely actually shelve that many books these days. Everybody was contributing to actually keeping the library going, whether that was, you know, via online support, because we, you know, created one-to-one appointments so people could just interact with us like that, and there was a lot of trying to update the website, keep everything up to date, and there was how we dealt with inquiries all changed, and everybody actually over that period, and that's continued into now, has been very busy, and it's sort of not stopped since then.
A lot of what we do is not just in the library. A lot of stuff we do is online, and we provide online support, and I think people forget that there's actually people behind the online support, and doing the podcast brings us closer to our users.
Okay, so I think we've successfully wrapped up our year there.
Oh, you know what's in our agenda? The email address to email your inquiries to us. So everybody at the moment, obviously, you just email either library-Manchester or library-Moorgate or whatever campus you're on. We're going central. We're now.
We're streamlining.
That's the word I was looking for, Eva. We are streamlining. What is that email address?
library@law.ac.uk. It could not get easier.
And obviously the inquiries will all still come into us, so people will still get the same response time, same people responding to their queries. It's just going to be a centralized, streamlined service.
Yeah, and those campus emails aren't going anywhere. So if you would prefer to send yours directly to library-Manchester, still do, because it still comes into the same pot.
It just basically means that you've got a lot more staff who are available to look at your inquiries when they do come in. And if they are campus specific, say if it's a noise complaint or something like that, which we hope that doesn't happen very often, but if there is, then the member of staff who's looking at those inquiries at that time will then put it into a campus-specific queue, and we're all monitoring them all the time, so we'll still pick up all of those kind of things. But I think now's the time in our Christmas episode to perhaps talk about some Christmassy things.
Yeah, I think we've spoken enough about that now. Let's get into Christmas.
Love a bit of Christmas.
So, have you guys been watching anything Christmassy or reading anything Christmassy recently?
One of my favourite Christmas films, which doesn't actually come up very often in conversation, maybe it does, but I really like Batman Returns as a Christmas film. Like, if you want some superhero-ness at Christmas and actually it be set at Christmas, I don't think you can get that better than Batman Returns.
I do have to agree with you there, because that is a really Christmassy film, but I don't know why, because it's a Batman film, but I always feel really Christmassy when I watch it. But do we spark up the debate of, is Die Hard a Christmas film? Because it is 100% a Christmas film.
We had this.
I've not seen Die Hard.
I know, that
in our
kills me.
agenda.
That kills me that you have not seen Die Hard.
I've not seen it, but from what I hear from Eva, it sounds like I would be team Christmas film.
I'm not sure.
To make my own decision.
I'm not sure you should have a vote, seeing as you've not seen it. But is it? But it's not.
I think a film set at a Christmas party sounds like a Christmas film.
To be honest, I've just argued that Batman Returns is a Christmas film, which, because it's set at Christmas, even though it's not really about Christmas. So
exactly. So your theory is flawed.
Now, I can't argue against Die Hard, but I am quite contrary, and a massive hypocrite. So I'm gonna say no. I can't be bothered. I will agree. Die Hard is a Christmas film.
Yes.
You know what? Before we go on further with Christmas, you know what we haven't talked about? The fact that it snowed yesterday. Did you two manage to, because the first day of snow is always the best day before it gets all icy and sludgy and stuff. So, did you two manage to enjoy any of the snow yesterday?
So, on my way into work, it wasn't actually that snowy where I live, but the closer you get into London, the more snow there was. Which was really weird, because usually when you come out of London it's more snowy. But yeah, I had a nice little wintry walk to and from campus from the train station. But I say walk, it was more me trying not to fall on my face because of the ice.
So it didn't actually snow at all in Manchester yesterday, but it did snow at the weekend. And my parents live in the countryside, so I was up there and there was quite a lot of snow there. So I'm guessing the snow moved from the north down to the south, because it's like fine here now. It's not even snowy at all.
Did you manage to make a snowman?
Oh no, there wasn't enough to do that, sadly.
Oh.
I would just like to say I did manage to make a snowman, because we had around, must be like 4 or 5 inches that actually settled overnight.
What, in London?
Okay.
Sunday into Monday. Well, I'm just outside of central London, so like 45-minute walk outside it. So I went to the park yesterday, built a snowman. I took, if you're following our Christmas countdown of the pandas, so our Christmas countdown of pandas is basically putting them in various scenarios, mostly related to Christmas as a sort of advent calendar. But I managed to do a little stop motion, so check that one out. And Eva's been very prolific, taking many pictures of pandas in, various situations, which are all utterly hilarious.
They are funny. So, not a Christmas film, but a Christmas book. Every year I do try to either read or listen to the audiobook of A Christmas Carol, because it's one of my favourite books ever, actually. It just makes me feel really warm and Christmassy. But I did have a look on A Christmas Carol is actually available on Pelago. So if anyone is using Pelago and wants to feel a little bit Christmassy and a little bit cozy, type in A Christmas Carol, because there's loads of editions on there for you to read. Has anyone, as we are all librarians here, has anyone read any Christmassy books or like cozy wintry books?
I haven't read it for a while. but I always liked The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe from Chronicles of Narnia.
Oh yeah, that is good, isn't it?
Yeah, the the snowiness. Also, you do get appearance from Father Christmas in it, and it's all just wonderful and magical as Christmas should be. Another one which I haven't read, but I saw a TV series of it when I was a kid, is Box of Delights. I'm assured the book is just as good as the TV series. So, but the Box of Delights is also very magical, sort of magic from pagan times, and it's just like wolves and snow, and it's just a wonderful mixture of things, and yeah, that's also good. What about you, Annie?
So I went to the library the other day and got a few out. I've got one called The Winter House, but my mum's read it and she said it was about someone dying, so
Oh.
possibly not that Christmassy. I did get one called Chocolat, which I don't know if it's Christmassy, but it's about chocolate, so it's inherently Christmassy. But I guess last year I was really on my Christmassy chick lit grind. I just love, they're so rubbish, anyone could write them, but they're so cozy at the same time. A couple of favourites from last year were The Little Village Christmas and Starry Skies Over the Chocolate Pot.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, which the name is so sickly and it was very cheesy, but there's just something about them that really hits at Christmas.
It's like those Hallmark Christmas films that are always on Channel 5. I get really obsessive with those at Christmas, even though they are all essentially the same story, just regurgitated in a different way.
It's the same with these books. Me and my mum were walking around the library and it's basically the same cover, the same font, they're all the same, and I'm like, how are you getting people to publish these? But then I'm reading them.
I was gonna say, you read them, so
yeah, exactly. So you might be aware that we make Spotify playlists for our ULaw account. So we've been making Halloween ones, we've got all of our study playlists, and obviously because it is the season, we've made a Christmas playlist with many Christmas classics on. Can you remember any of the songs on there, guys?
One of the best Christmas songs of all time, A Spaceman Came Travelling by, is it Chris de Burgh?
Chris de Burgh, yeah.
That's great. It's great. One of the best.
It's quite a classic mix, isn't it? We've got quite a lot of old faves on there.
There's a couple of more modern ones. I think we've put on Gwen Stefani, which I really like that as a more modern one.
We also have the classics, like the Mariah Careys, the Step Into Christmas by Elton John, War Is Over by John Lennon. Ooh, what's this?
I was just trying to be I was just trying to create, play some of the music from the playlist, but for copyright reasons I can't do that, so I'm just playing a random Christmas song I found on Pixabay.
Well, that song's not on the playlist.
That's not on the playlist, but on we go.
Lovely as it is.
Definitely check it out though, because I've been listening to it while I've been working to get all Christmassy, while also trying not to eat all the mince pies that possibly be around me.
It's probably inspiring you to eat more by listening to the songs.
Definitely.
And there's still lots of mince pies for you to have at Moorgate as well.
Excellent. I'll be there on Thursday.
So bringing it back to library news, but with a Christmas theme, let's talk about the Christmas opening hours. So it's taken some time, but they now are all on the website. So if you do plan on coming in over Christmas, not all campuses are open, but some will be open on between 28th, 29th, 30th and 31st. So if you do want to see if your campus is open, just go to library.law.ac.uk, click on using our libraries, and then obviously library opening hours, and you'll be able to find them there.
But also, don't feel pressure to work over Christmas if you don't want to. I think it's always good to have a bit of a break from your studies. It's important too for your self-care. But if you do fancy coming in, some libraries will be open for you.
I think that brings us to the end of our Christmas edition episode of the podcast. Thanks, guys, for coming.
Very,
we're
very
paid to.
That's true. And we just wanted to say thanks to everybody who followed us on Twitter and listened to any of these episodes over the year. And if you like listening to this podcast, we will be back for season 2 in January, so not long to wait. And we'll be back with lots of fresh content and obviously news about what's coming up in 2023 for the library service. So see you there.
Happy Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas.
And a Happy New Year.